Hey, Crystal Maiden here. And now we're entering a dungeon that has a gimmick that's unique and special and cool, but also kind of annoying. This is what the Cane of Samaria is for. You create these things that create bridges, and basically you press, like, see, there you press right and it starts moving to the right, and there you press up and it starts moving up, and it does so automatically. And it costs a little bit of magic every time to create one of these things. And now if you use the Cane of Samaria normally, then you're going to create a red block. And when you use it again, the block will split up and it'll split up into 4 fireballs. This is a pretty cool timed puzzle. I like it. Oh! I hate when that happens. I pressed up because I was trying to go up, but I pressed it too early, and so I went back onto the thing when I didn't want to. And then I had to do the entire puzzle all over again. That's fun. You can cheat this section by using the magic cape or the cane of Byrna, but it feels a lot more satisfying to do it legitimately. I like this puzzle. Like, it's pretty unique to this game, and it's pretty creative. I don't think you've really seen anything like it again, except in Four Swords Adventure, which is a huge callback to this game. Here's what you do to get past that part. Although you can also use the magic mirror. In fact, you should probably do that instead, but no, I think that would take longer. Never mind. Those enemies are really annoying because they take a lot of hits to kill. And I don't think they get knocked back when you attack them either. You probably notice how yeah, I hate when they throw I hate when they throw bones at you. And oh, great, more floor tiles, wonderful. This is fun because basically all you're doing is holding a sword in front of you over and over again so that they can hit him over and over again. Because ironically enough, your shield doesn't block them, but your sword does. So your sword is being a better shield than your shield right now. I haven't talked much about the soundtrack of this game yet. It's pretty alright. I like there's a lot of songs that I like, but there aren't that many that I outright love. I mean, I love the bunny theme. Like, it creates the perfect atmosphere. And I like the melody and the instrumentation. I prefer the Dark World dungeon theme to the Light World one. Oh, I hate it when that happens. And then you have to waste magic to create another one because the previous one doesn't come to where you need it to. I also like the Dark World theme. I like it better than the main theme of the Light World, actually. This is a good way to deal with these guys. Something I haven't mentioned is that when enemies are frozen, you can actually pick them up and throw them. It's pretty useless, though. It doesn't really accomplish anything. And when you pick them up and throw them, you can actually throw them inside walls and trees and stuff. And so you'll probably be unable to reach them and smash them apart. So throwing them is not really recommended. And you can't just put an object down after you picked it up. You can only throw it. I think putting objects down lightly is a concept that wasn't introduced until later. Probably not until Ocarina of Time, or maybe Wind Waker. I also really like the credits theme for this game. That's pretty good. There's no theme in the game that I hate. I mean, I really like the title screen theme too, mainly because of nostalgia. And I like the theme that plays when you're outside in the rain. I like that too. Now, the graphics of the game, they're obviously a lot better than Zelda 1's. I mean, that's not really a fair contest. But there are some issues that I have with them. I mean, usually I can tell what something's supposed to be, or even if I can't, I still can tell the proper way to interact with it. So, for the most part, the graphics don't have any real problems in terms of video games, and that they don't really negatively impact gameplay. So most of the complaints about the graphics in this game are just minor nitpicks. Like, I hate the way Link looks in this game. Like, even though this was my first game ever, I still don't like the way Link looks here. Because he has pink hair because of a sprite miscoloration, and I'm not really sure why they didn't fix that. It seems like something easy to fix. In the ROM hack of this game called Zelda Parallel Worlds, they actually fixed it so that Link has blonde hair, and that looks a lot better. Although I don't recommend actually playing that game because I watched an LP of it and it looks extremely hard. And the dungeons seem to be pretty annoying. And the overworld is full of sections of it that you walk by and you can't do anything because you don't have the item for it yet. Like a lot of sections where you can't do anything because you don't have the hammer yet. And you have to take forever to go all the way through a stealth dungeon. Like basically you have to go all the way through under the overworld, under the rain, and then go into the first dungeon, which is Hyrule Castle. And then you have to go all the way through it. And then finally you get the sword. And all this time you're dodging monsters. And if you die to the monsters, then you have to start the entire game all over again. Because that's something I didn't mention about Link to the Past yet. It doesn't actually save your progress properly until you obtain the first sword. Because if you save and quit while you're under the rain, but before you get the level 1 sword, then you'll just start out back at your house. And it won't even save the fact that Zelda gave you the telepathic message that she did when you start out the file. So you have to see it all over again. Speaking of which, that cave is really weird because it has mimics in it, but mimics are Dark World enemies. So it looks like the creators of the game completely forgot what world that cave was supposed to be in. And they corrected that for the Game Boy Advance version and made the cave supremely annoying by having those one-eyed Cyclops enemies from the Eastern Palace there. And they're incredibly annoying because, again, they constantly fall asleep and you can't attack them when they're asleep. Oh, I hate the little bugs that come out of the walls. And the orange enemies are pretty annoying because when you attack them normally, the circles that make up them fly off them and bounce off walls, and you have to hit them a whole bunch to get rid of them. This room is pretty tricky to get all of the rupees in without getting hit, but you can manage to do it. I didn't feel like it though because, as you can see, my wallet is already maxed out. No. My wallet is completely full, and so I can't actually collect any of the rupees in there. Why do they throw so many rupees at you when you have so little to spend money on? It's like, did they playtest this game at all? But anyways, Parallel Worlds, it has a lot of bad design issues that you would expect from a ROM hack. And I don't know why ROM hacks have to be so ridiculously hard. I mean, I know they assume that you've played the game already, but still. And this is really annoying. There's a delay between when you try to use the magic cape and when it actually activates. And because of that, even though I clearly pressed the Y button, I still didn't use the item. It's really cheap, that fire bar thing, because it pretty much forces you to use an invincibility item to avoid getting hit by it. Although thankfully you don't get knocked into the pit when you get hit by it. You stay on the square. Which is good because it would suck having to do the entire puzzle all over again. And the switch that you press can be kind of confusing because you might think because it's a dungeon centered around the King of Samaria that you'll have to put a block on the switch to keep it held down, but you don't. Yeah, this is how you avoid getting hit by the lasers. The magical shield is special because it blocks not only the eye beams, but also the fireballs that the mimics shoot out at you. Which is really good because those fireballs tend to deal a lot of damage. And this is pretty unique for this game and for Zelda game in general. It's a dungeon that takes place inside of a cave, and you can bomb the way out of it to open up cave entrances in the overworld. Yeah, it's pretty annoying how when you dash into a locked door, then you get knocked back by it as if you ran into a wall instead of just charging through it. Yeah, the head takes a lot more hits to kill. And I like how sometimes enemies can drop 8 bombs all at once. I mean, that's pretty cool, although it is pretty rare. Parallel Worlds also is unique in that you use the Book of Medora to work back to the entrance of a dungeon instead of the magic mirror for some bizarre reason. And when you go into the parallel world, you're stuck there until almost the end of the game, and only then can you go back. So it kind of defeats the purpose of having an alternate world, because you can't really... It's not like this game where you can warp between worlds and your actions in the parallel world affect the light world and vice versa. It's not like that, it's just a different world. And it also has this really annoying dungeon where there's a whole bunch of holes that you have to fall down, and then you fall into them, and you might fall into the wrong ones, and it's a maze. And if you fall into the wrong one, then you have to use the Book of Medora and try again. Yeah, destroy the ice snake here first, because if you don't, then it'll freeze the floor, and you all know how much I hate ice floors. Well, it's even worse when it's in a boss fight. And you can beat this guy with a hammer. It's really hard though. I never really liked fighting this boss. And it took me a long time to figure out that you can actually attack the snake enemies with a sword. When I was a kid, I would always just constantly use the magic rods. I didn't know that you could just use the sword after hitting them once. And then you could strike them with the sword a few times before having to use the rod again. So just do that because it saves you a whole bunch of magic. So let's see if Zelda wastes our time. Yep, she seems to be wasting her time. We already know this. No shit. Oh, here's something new. Finally. We can use our combined powers to break the barrier. But, like, one of the previous Crystal Maidens just finished saying that the maidens don't have powers of their own anymore. And yet now they can combine their powers to break a barrier? And Zelda has telepathy. Isn't that a power? Or is that just a Triforce of Wisdom? But Sahasrahla can do that too. Those centaurs are really annoying. They're basically Lynels. Although I prefer the way the Zelda 1 Lynels look, which is pretty pathetic because the Zelda 1 Lynels are in the NES. But anyways, those centaurs can deal a lot of damage to you, especially if you walk into them, so you gotta be careful. I like to charge up a spin attack and do that after breaking the barrier, because it makes it more triumphant and victorious and dramatic. I wish they let you do that automatically. Yep, there's one thing that I forgot to do. Right after beating Misery Mire and Ice Palace, you unlock the Super Bomb. This is an annoying escort mission, because if you press A at any point, or if you get hit by an enemy, which is very easy to do on the way here, then it's going to do this. And you'll have to walk into it repeatedly to get it to follow you. And you have a time limit, or it'll explode and you'll have to buy another one. And thankfully, even though it says 3 there, then that's not actually 3 seconds. It's the slowest ticking timer ever, which is good. But yeah, this is pretty annoying. At least it's short though. And something I forgot to mention about this place is that if you don't get hit here and you go to the left and you pull on the leftmost Ganon statue, then you're going to make blue rupees appear out of it. Like I'm just about to show you right here. I don't like the way Ganon looks either. Like, Ganon looks horrible in this game. And the weird thing is that the manual's artwork has him look completely different. He's wearing red robes and he kind of has a cat-like face or something like that. He looks really bad in this game. Okay, here's the weird thing, alright? When you transform the Dark World, that's supposed to represent your true self, right? But then people often say that if you're ugly on the inside, that means that you're an awful person. So isn't this representing that she's an awful person? Because she's ugly on the inside, and is normally beautiful on the outside. Or maybe, I mean, she says Ganon's cruel power is to blame, so maybe she means that Ganon directly cursed her to make her ugly? But that sounds pretty petty and stupid, because why would he curse her to merely look ugly? Why, if he was capable of getting to the Great Fairy's fountain, if he was capable of getting to her, despite the fact that there's a very hard to break cracked wall right in front of her that prevents you from getting to her, if Ganon was somehow able to reach her, you'd think that he would kill her to prevent her from allowing Link to beat him. So I don't think that Ganon directly cursed her. I think that she just transformed because of the same reason everyone else did. And again, it's a prevailing problem I have with transformations, is that it doesn't always make sense. Like, how does that represent their personality? I mean, like, why does a shopkeeper look the way he does? Why does I don't know. And the shopkeeper of the bomb shop makes the sound that the item menu makes when you open it up, which is pretty surreal, I gotta say. Next part, I'll be going through my favorite dungeon in the game. This is the only dungeon in the game that I actively look forward to playing. I'll see you then.